the thing about this fly that I like the bead looks like an eye on it. So I'm going to put the bead on the hook first. Then I'm going to start tying with 2 bobbins. Now, if any of you've got my DVD and you've seen me tie at shows and stuff, when I tie zonkers and zonker type flies, I always use 2 bobbins. And I learned that from Dan Byford when he taught me how to tie this years and years ago. But I'm going to start out by taking a red thread, but you can use any color you want. I'm just going to put it on the back of the hook. And actually, I'd rather you not tie until I get it all done. Okay. And what we'll do is I'll tie one, get it completely finished so you know what's going to happen and you won't get ahead and make mistakes that we can't correct. And then we'll tie another one together. So I'll tie each fly twice. So I'll start out by putting red thread, just putting on the back of the bobbin, or the fly. Then I'll take my olive thread and attach it to the hook. And I'll use this for dubbing my body and the rest of the tying function. Now, I told you just to get some olive ice dub. What we're actually using ourselves on this fly, if you can, I don't know if you can see that. This is a different, it's got a blend of 2 colors. We buy a olive ice dub and we mix it with a brown UV ice dub. And I didn't want to tell you to do that because it's so hard to blend them, but I'll tell you now, the best color is ice dub olive blended, 1 package with 1 package of brown UV. And that's what I'm going to use for the body. Now, one of the things I found in our classes when we use ice dub, a lot of the guys, it's so easy to dub, they build the bodies up fast and they get them on there real easy. And then they fish the fly, and the first fish or 2, the body comes apart on them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this in 3 or 4 different sections. I'll start by keeping it tight. And I'll use my finger to catch it as I go around so that it really tightens it up. And I'm going to try to make kind of a tapered body like a minnow would have. And I'm going to take it in 2 or 3 batches. So I'll just do the same thing again. Add another little bit of dubbing to the thread. And I'm going to come up to till I'm about a beads and a half width back from the eye of the hook to build the body up. Okay, one more time and I should have it. Now, the reason I do it this way is I don't want this fly falling apart, because I guarantee you'll catch a lot of fish on there. And I noticed, John, when you come out to Bountiful, that you had a fly similar to this. It's been so deadly for us in Canada, but it's worked all over in Idaho and Crinton and every place else. Okay, now I tied the body up. Now I'm going to take this bead and I'm going to push back against it, so that I get about a bead, little more than a bead's width up to the front. I'm going to push it really hard and then just pull it out of the way, and then I'm going to take my red dubbing. And if you've got ice dub, that's fine. I'm going to use a little bit of seal on my own. I've blended with some sparkle stuff, so I just get a thin layer of red. Okay, then I'm going to bring that right up against the body. This is going to represent the gills. Now, I've heard this for years, that the fish take it for, bleeding gills or whatever. I don't know if that's true or not, but I put it on here and it seems to work. So, okay, then I push that back. And if I got enough room, then I just come up and I'll whip finish right there. And then I'll cut my thread and go to the front of the bead. I'll push that bead back as far as I can and I'll force it back with the thread. As soon as I get it held in place, I'll trim that top part of this stuff if I can see it. found if I put my finger wherever I'm doing stuff, I can usually. A lot of the guys in the club used to tease me because if I didn't do that, I'd be here and the thread would be down here, and I'd think I was on it, and I was always missing it. So, okay, then you take your either your squirrel or your rabbit strip. I've taken it right in front of the bead. Tie that down, and you'll notice that that makes it look like an eye on the front of this fly. When it goes through the water, it looks like a big eye there, and so the bead actually represents something. So I build it up tight against the bead and force that bead back tight against the body and gills. I whip finish that, cut my thread. Then when I used to tie for blue ribbon, I used to tie, well, they'd order them 80 dozen at a time of these types of flies. I always kept a thing of water there, but when you don't have a lot to do, you just wet your finger a bit like that. And then I just take my bodkin and I stretch the material. I stretch it, find the point where the body ends, and I just bring my thread in and give it about 8 or 10 wraps. And we'll whip finish it right there with about 4 turns. Then you take your scissors, and I come back 1 gap width behind the butt of the hook and just slice that off, and I'm all set to go for my next one.